Hello people, in this video let us look at this caloric test. Okay, so basically we are in ENT, in the ear, right? We are understanding the ear. In the ear, you know, there are two functions of the ear. One is the balance and the other is hearing. So ear doesn't just do hearing, it also helps in balance and other things, right? So that is the vestibular function. So first let us get some basics. Okay, so if this is the ear, right? So as you can see here, in the inner ear, okay, so this is the inner ear, you can see that you have two things, right? You have the vestibular part, right, and you have the cochlea. So basically this vestibular part, it's going to help in balance, movement, position, all that, and the cochlea will help you in hearing. So here we are talking about the vestibular apparatus. We want to do the functioning, whether this is able to function properly, we want to check, okay. So the functions of the vestibular apparatus: motion, head position, spatial orientation, balance, stabilize the head and body during movement, maintain posture. So everything to do, you can summarize it like this. So this is the vestibular function. Okay. So not only does our inner ear do this vestibular function, it also helps in hearing, right? So there are two functions to the ear. That much you have understood. Now, if you want to check the hearing part, if you want to check, you will go for hearing test. They will say some word, you will repeat it, all that. So you know how to do a hearing test. But do you know really how to check the vestibular test functions? Let's look at that. So basically, to check the vestibular functions, you have so many tests. You have clinical tests, right? In that fistula test, we have already completed. Alright, we have finished the fistula test. So under clinical tests, we have seen spontaneous nystagmus. So we have seen spontaneous nystagmus. Then fistula test. Hold on. Fistula test, Romberg test, gait, right? That is all positioning, etc. Past pointing, falling, Dix-Hallpike maneuver, right? Test of cerebellar dysfunction. So a lot of clinical tests. Then laboratory tests, when we come to vestibular function, you have the caloric test. This is what we want to focus on today, right? Today we want to focus on this one, caloric test. That is electronystagmography, optokinetic test, rotation test, galvanic test, posturography, vestibular evoked myogenic potentials. So many tests are there. But today what are we looking at, people? We are looking at caloric test. So guys, what is caloric test? It is a laboratory test for vestibular function. Very good. Okay. So what do you mean by caloric? Calories. When you eat something, you will get calories and all that, right? You will say this many calories when I ate this. So basically, calories heat, right? The heat. So basically, that is why it is called as caloric test here. What exactly are they doing here? See, if you look at this, don't get scared. They're not doing anything to the person, just putting water into the ear. That's all, right? So here it is cold water or warm water. So it is called as caloric test because something related to the heat. Okay. So you have understood some basics now. Good. Interestingly, everything has to have so many types under them, you know, no? Like this caloric test itself has so many types are below it, like modified Koh-Brack test, Fitzgerald-Hallpike test. This is called as bithermal caloric test. And you also have the cold air caloric test, right? Air. They're talking about air here. Okay. Generally, you want to check whether the vestibule functions well. Correct. Now, why do you want to check whether the vestibule is functioning properly? So basically, if a person has vertigo, right, that dizziness, etc., if you want to check whether this vertigo is due to the labyrinthine origin, that is the inner ear, if there is a problem with the inner ear because of which this vertigo is happening, then you can do a vestibular function to check the cause for the vertigo. And interestingly, this vestibular functions, they're checking a lot of times, okay, in tumors, in brain dead people, they want to check, right, whether the person is brain dead, they will do this caloric test. Tumors also they can check. Basically, you want to check the functions of the vestibule and for many reasons. So what exactly are they thinking will happen if you put cold water or hot water? Basically, they will check. Once they put the water, they will check the movement of the eye. Okay, they will check the movement of the eye. So here's the ear. They're putting water in the ear, right? And they're checking the movement of the eye, which is going through all these neurons. So you're kind of checking the brain. So who discovered this interesting phenomena of cold water in the ear and eye movement? Okay. So it was developed by Robert Barani. Okay. He won Nobel Prize in 1914 for this discovery. I think it's worth it. What do you think? So basically here the thing is vestibulo-ocular reflex. That is something from the vestibule, let us say ear to the eye. Okay, ear to the eye. So vestibulo-ocular reflex. So when you put this water in the ear, you will observe the eye movements. So those jerky movements, involuntary, those are called as nystagmus. Okay. So you have many types of nystagmus: horizontal, vertical, rotatory. Here they are trying to look for the horizontal nystagmus because they are trying to work on the lateral semicircular canal or the duct. Lateral semicircular duct. So mostly it is this one, left to right, right to left. Okay. So that's one only we will look at now. So guys, this in this we will focus mainly on this Fitzgerald-Halpike test. Okay. So basically, as you know, we have three semicircular canals, right? So look at this. We have the anterior or the superior semicircular canal, then we have the posterior semicircular canal and the lateral semicircular canal. We are focusing on this one. Okay, it is almost horizontal. It is not actually horizontal, it is almost horizontal. This is a lateral semicircular canal. So we are focusing on this one. This is lateral. So when you put any cold water here, this one will get affected, right? So what is the sense organ here? This is the ampulla. They are called as crista ampullaris, right? So here the crista ampullaris, you can see here, they have some hair. So here you can see the hair. They have shown the hair, right? And this is the cupula. In fistula test, you have already seen this part, right? Whenever the pressure increases, decreases. So basically there is displacement of the cupula or the endolymph and there will be nystagmus in the eye. Let's look at the procedure here now. So basically here we are taking the patient and telling him to lie supine with the head tilted 30 degrees forward. Okay, so his head is, he's in supine position and then his head is brought up, right, by 30 degrees. So now what will happen? The lateral semicircular canal, okay, so the lateral semicircular canal which was almost horizontal, right, it was horizontal. Now you made him lie supine, so it became vertical, right. So now the horizontal semicircular canal or the lateral, let's say lateral, that's better, lateral semicircular canal has now become vertical. It has become what? Vertical. Guys, just take a checkpoint here. The textbook gives a procedure which is like alternating cold warm water, 40 seconds, lot of timings, etc. Okay, but we will just go and understand that if we put the cold, what will happen? If we put the warm, what will happen? We'll try to understand that. Okay. See, body temperature is what? 37 degrees centigrade. Okay. Something lesser than that, if you want a temperature, -7, that is 30 degrees centigrade will be the cold water, and +7 will be the 44 degrees centigrade water will become the hot water for you. Okay. Warm water 44 degrees centigrade, cold water will be 30 degrees centigrade. Okay. So now let us see, we'll start with the right ear here. Okay, right ear here, and we will give the 30 degrees centigrade water. Okay. So basically when cold water is given, okay, in this ear, in the right ear, let us say, the nystagmus will be to the opposite side. The nystagmus will be to the opposite side. Okay. The nystagmus, the fast component of the nystagmus will be to the opposite side. Here, just look at this, okay. Basically what they are trying to show here is cold water is given, right, on this ear, and the eyes, actually the gaze is, the eyes are turning to the side, don't focus on that, but the nystagmus will be to the opposite side. The eyes will make repetitive, uncontrolled movements to the opposite side, okay. So understand here again, so cold water on this side, the nystagmus will be to the opposite side. Okay, as simple as that, guys. Cold water is given on the side, nystagmus. So the eye has turned here, but the eye is trying to have some repetitive uncontrolled movement to the opposite side. As simple as that. Okay, is this clear? So now let us look at the... So are you able to understand this? So cold water in this ear, right? And the nystagmus is towards the opposite side. Okay. So that brings us to COWS, what you have been waiting for, cows. So basically cold water will induce opposite side nystagmus, fast component of the nystagmus will be to the opposite side, and warm water will have same side nystagmus. Fast component of the nystagmus will be to the same side if you put warm water. So basically understand some few lines from the textbook. Ampulopetal flow is more effective than ampulofugal for horizontal canal. The quick component of nystagmus is always opposite to the direction of flow of endolymph. So let's just let's get to some technical details here. Okay. So basically, you're giving cold water here. This kind of gets suppressed. Okay. So the blue is suppressed now. So let us say the other side, the other ear is having more signal. So what will happen? This red. So what will happen here? The lateral rectus here and the medial rectus here are stimulated. So the eye tries to look this way, right? You're trying to look this way, but the nystagmus happens to the other direction. So basically what nerves are there here? Nucleus of abducens. So that is the 6th nerve, right? So the 6th nerve they are showing here. And here what and all you have? Vestibulocochlear nucleus, right? The 8th nerve, okay? The 6th nerve, and then oculomotor, that is the 3rd nerve here. Oculomotor nerve also shown here, right? So is it clear? So basically, again, let us look at these sentences here. In the Fitzgerald-Hallpike test, there is thermal stimulation of the horizontal semicircular canal or the lateral semicircular canal, right? So cold water causes nystagmus to the opposite direction, and warm water, that is 44 degrees centigrade water, causes nystagmus to the same side. Okay. So remember, cows, cold opposite, warm same side. This is for the nystagmus. Fast component of the nystagmus. Okay. So I think for warm you will be able to explain, right? So warm basically stimulates, right? So it will be just the opposite. So basically if a person is brain dead and they want to test for it, so they use these kind of tests, okay? Like in those tests, so many of those tests, one of them is this eye movement, okay? So basically they try to check for the movement of the eye. They use a lot of tests, and one of them is actually the vestibulo-ocular reflex. So here they are saying that they will use ice water. So basically there are a lot of differences in temperatures. If it doesn't work at 30 degrees centigrade, what to do? For all that you'll have to look at the textbook, okay? So how much, what 20 degrees centigrade can you give? All that you look at the textbook. So they will instill ice water into the ear canal. So can you tell to which direction the eye will move? Yes, the eye will move towards the same ear where you have irrigated, but the nystagmus has to be on the opposite side. So eyes will turn towards the irrigated ear. Correct, right? So you are able to understand the statement. The eyes turn towards the irrigated ear. So absolute lack of ocular movements from all these tests will indicate that the brainstem is no longer functioning. Guys, in Meniere's disease, they will use this test. Why? Because in Meniere's disease, one of the symptoms is vertigo. Meniere's disease, basically it is nothing but the endolymphatic hydrops, right? So they will know if the vertigo is due to the labyrinth. So you know what labyrinth is, bony labyrinth, everything, hopefully you know. So guys, when will you use air instead of water and all that? If there is a perforation, then definitely you can use air. So that time you'll use cold air caloric test. In this, they will use Dundas Grant tube. Just let us finally look at what the textbook says. There's so much of information here, right? Modified Kobrach test. So here they are using similarly only. Here the patient is more like in seated position, okay? If you need more quantity of water, then it means the labyrinth is hypoactive, okay? If there's no response, definitely they are saying that the labyrinth will be dead, okay? Then coming to Fitzgerald-Hallpike test, that's a bithermal caloric test. So here they are saying alternatively you do it with cold water and hot water, 40 seconds, okay? How much gap should be there, all that they have said. And if there is no nystagmus, then you can repeat the test with water at 20 degrees centigrade, okay, for 4 minutes before you can label it as dead, the labyrinth as dead, okay, labyrinth as dead. How's it going, guys? Just let's look at a few more terms here. So basically they are saying that you can find canal paresis directional preponderance. See, if nystagmus is more towards one direction and how long and all that, there are a lot of calculations and all here. So basically, canal paresis, it indicates that response from particular canal, right or left, is less than the opposite side. So you can say whether the right is producing more nystagmus or the left is producing more nystagmus. Okay. A lot of calculations here. And directional preponderance, it is taking the duration. It is considering the duration of nystagmus. Okay. So there's something here, right beating nystagmus, left beating nystagmus. Wow. A lot of details, guys. If you want, you can look at all these. Some complicated terminologies here. If there is canal paresis on one side with directional preponderance to the opposite side, then you will see it in unilateral Meniere's disease. Okay. So, and there is something else in acoustic neuroma, that is a tumor, right? Canal paresis with directional preponderance to ipsilateral side. Forget seeing nystagmus. Now they are telling you measure if it is more or less on which side and how long duration. Wow, it just got so complicated. That is why in electronystagmography, what they are doing, they are using electrodes around the eyes and measuring all this. Of course, right? Who can sit and measure? It's quite difficult, right? So obviously, you can also take a recording of this electronystagmography, which will be even better, right? Guys, so we are done with caloric test. Basically, this is really complicated for a student to explain. So you must please go to read some standard books and understand better from it. Okay, that's all. Bye-bye.